Hi, my name is Karen Plant, and I'm new to the TIPS team. And today I want to share with you a Google Doc add-on called Orange Slice Teacher Rubric. This Google Doc add-on is for increasing the functionality of Google Docs. So first, I'll open a document with the writing sample in it. This writing sample has a rubric already pasted on it, one that I'd used in my classroom before, shared by a colleague. It's on top of a student's writing. Traditionally, I would have marked this rubric using paper, but using the add-on, we can mark right in the Google Doc. In order to get the add-on, we have to go to the Add-ons tab. In the Add-ons tab, we have a drop-down menu, and at the bottom it says Get Add-ons. These add-ons are specific to the Google Doc that we're looking at, so it could be specific for forms, sheets, or docs. Here in the search bar, we can search for Orange Slice. When we search for that, what will come up is the Teacher Rubric add-on or the Student Rubric. Because I've already installed the Teacher Rubric add-on, it says Manage. But if you haven't installed it yet, it would say Free. Click on it so it can be part of your Google Docs experience. In this pasted rubric, I would like to use the Google Doc add-on Orange Slice to help me increase the functionality of assessing. So I'm going to open Orange Slice Teacher Rubric by going to it in the Add-ons menu. And there's two options to score this rubric. The first one just says Score Rubric, but the second one says Score Rubric Early Release. Orange Slice is pretty new, and there's lots of increased functionality as it gets better. Early Release has more functions that we're going to use today. What happens to this rubric is when we open it, we should have the option of Orange Slice identifying that there's a rubric right on our page. The reason it does this is because in the table that the rubric has pasted on this Google Doc, in the top left cell, is a cell called Rubric Categories right here. If we make our rubric have the top left, have the words Rubric Categories, and have these go down the left-hand side, Orange Slice will identify that this is in fact a rubric. What we have open on the right is the window here for the add-on. It is identified that this rubric is holistic because it doesn't see any numbers. And under grades, we see that there is all of the criteria that I've cut and pasted into this doc. What we can do then is we can view this student's work and scroll through it and read. As we're reading this student's work, we have the same functionality as we always had in Google Docs. When we highlight content, we have an opportunity to add a comment, and we can keep scrolling. As I scroll through and review this, I can have my rubric right beside me. So let's say that I think this content is fairly proficient, and in the category of organization, it's exemplary. I can say perhaps the sentence structure is adequate, the vocabulary is proficient, and conventions are also proficient. Once I've done that, Orange Rubric can close each of these rubric areas, and I can hit Finished. When I'm finished, I can process the grade down at the bottom here. This processing takes a minute, and what happens is right on top of the rubric, inside the document open, Orange Slice will highlight the areas which you assess this student work, according to the color of the highlighted text that was indicated in the window. You can use these highlighted texts as you go through and read if you want to identify perhaps this area struggles with some kind of content. You could click on the content area and the red text, and it will highlight in that color that correlates with the rubric criteria. This then does a few more things to this document other than just highlight. On the top, we have a gray box of this document that identified the holistic average here as proficient. It communicated the date that this was assessed, teacher reviewed, identifying proficient. And even more awesome, the actual document itself has been renamed teacher reviewed with the review right on the top. So when the student opens it again, they can see right away that the teachers looked at it. So this is with creating or pasting our own rubric into a Google Doc. Orange Slice will also allow us to create our own rubric. If we have a blank page, a blank Google Doc, we can still use Orange Slice to create a rubric by opening it again from the Add-ons menu, selecting Early Release so we have increased functionality. And in the side now, our little orange slices look different. On the top it says Create Rubric, and we can choose our performance levels. They could be descending or ascending. I'll pick descending. Here our performance levels could be traditional letters, or great, good, average, and needs more, some smiley face emoticons, or creating your own. We already cut and pasted our own, so we know that Orange Slice can identify that as a rubric, but we'll pick great, good, average, needs more. Here it can give us some of the categories that it has in its bank. For the sake of this, we'll just pick the top 3: ideas, sentence fluency, and vocabulary. As we continue to scroll down to make this rubric, it lets me know that you can customize this rubric when you're done. So you could edit the text if you'd like. There is a red button at the bottom that says Create Rubric, so we can go ahead and do that. This rubric creation has the same type of layout as our cut and pasted one, and that's because it's in the format that Orange Slice needs to recognize it as a rubric. The top left-hand cell says Rubric Categories, and our criteria goes down the left with our scores across the top, and then our grade box is still present. So now that we have processed this rubric, and it's available on our fake assignment document, we could share this with students. They could have their writing assignment or other assignment available here, and we could grade it later. What we could also do with this, though, is share it to Classroom. So when we share it to Classroom, this is my fake class, and I'd like all my students to have this rubric available to make my feedback to them more efficient. So I'm going to create an assignment in Google Classroom, and this assignment is going to be for them to fill out their writing assignment. I'm going to attach the document that I already processed a rubric on. I'm going to add any instructions I need for my students. And what I want to do is make sure that I make a copy for each student. That way each student will have the processed rubric available for them and their own writing assignment, and the document will be renamed with their name on it. And then I will assign this for the class. Now my assignment is ready to go for my students. In my students class, Amanda has an assignment ready to go. She's going to open this assignment and make sure that she clicks on the assignment that's created just for her. What she sees is the rubric already there. What she can do to this assignment is she can write her assignment, add anything she needs according to the criteria set out by the teacher, and then when she's finished, she can turn it in. Now that she's turned in her assignment, I can go back to my classroom, and I see that one student is done. When it's time to provide assessment for them, I can see people who are done, and I see that on the left-hand side, They have a grade available for them that I could type in had I provided feedback. Well, here's her written assignment. When I'm ready to provide feedback, I can go to the Add-ons menu and select Teacher Rubric, Score Rubric, Early Release. Again, the add-on opens up, and I can assign total points for this if I like. This assignment has numbers in it for a total of 15 points. Now we can go to our grades section, and as we scroll through my students' work, we can identify how their ideas went, if their sentence fluency was okay, and their vocabulary. Again, like in other Google documents, when we highlight, our floating comment bar comes up and we can add comments, or we could highlight according to the criteria. There's some grade adjustments available, like extra credit, late penalty, or plagiarize penalty if you're interested. And then we can process this grade. Just like the other assignment, Orange Slice has highlighted the areas in which I have provided feedback for my student and placed the date that this was teacher reviewed in the top gray box of this document, identified how many points the student scored in their assessment and their percentage. Also now the title is different. The title is this student's work and has changed to grades and their percentage. I can scroll through all my students, and when I'm ready to record their mark, or whatever I assess them to be, if it's a numerical value, I can see it right in the title of their documents right in Google Classroom, and I can place that into the grade section. I can make sure that the assignment is out of the correct number of points. And now Amanda has feedback right on her Google Doc. If we decide that Amanda would like to redo or fix up her assignment, she certainly can do that by unsubmitting it. When she opens it, she can see my feedback and she can change her work. She adhered to all of my suggestions, and I want to take another look at it. I can see that she's changed her work, and so I can reopen the add-on, and we can reassess as often as we like. If I refresh the screen. I hope you can get some great use out of Orange Slice Google Docs add-on. Anytime you come into Orange Slice or anytime you come into Google Docs, it'll always be available for you once you add it. Happy assessing!